But yeah, let's get started with ARDK 3.0 migration. I'm super happy to introduce Max, who is our software engineer based in our London office, but originally from Cologne, Germany. He's currently one of the engineers leading the migration process regarding engineering, technical documentation, as well as porting over Peridot, Niantic's AR first game from ARDK 2.x to 3.0. And I'm going to let Max take it away now.
Thank you, Chanel. I hope everyone can hear me well. Yes, I will be talking about the path forward. If you have already a project with ARDK in it, it's probably ARDK 2.5 or any other ARDK 2.x version, and you want to try out the new ARDK 3.0. This is a high-level overview of what we did with Peridot and what we think is a great way to migrate. First of all, the first step here is add ARDK 3 to the project. So on the very right-hand side, as a third step, you can see that the last step is actually removing ARDK 2. That's how we propose the migration. You can also do it in a different way, which I will explain later. But the first step here that we propose is add ARDK 3 so that you have it side by side with ARDK 2 in your project. In ARDK 2, we were using the .unity package extension to share the assets of the ARDK with everyone. But now in ARDK 3, we moved on to the more advanced Unity Package Manager system, which is great because that gives you the opportunity to declare dependencies or version numbers. It's much easier to manage the packages in your project. So once you import ARDK 3 through the UPM style package manager, you will also include all the dependencies we declared, like ARKit, ARCore, Unity AR Foundation in general. So once you have done that, you would now have ARDK 3 under the packages tab. And then you actually do the whole work, which is move everything over to ARDK 3. This way, by adding ARDK 3 first and removing ARDK 2 later, you always are in a state where the project is compilable. You don't end up in Unity safe mode, and you can incrementally move stuff over. Whereas if you do it the other way, which would be remove ARDK 2 at the start and then add ARDK 3 as a second step, you will be having a lot of missing references and nothing really works for a long time until you hooked everything up again. So that's why we propose this path. So the bulk of the work is in the middle. With ARDK 3, we are moving into the AR Foundation ecosystem of Unity. So the biggest thing there is that the session management is now being handled by Unity, which is actually great because they have a very good system in place. You can use their tutorials, you can use their documentation and guides to have the session management set up. So you want to go to the XR plugin management tab that is visible in the middle picture. And there you can select the Niantic Lightship SDK as the per platform used SDK. And by that, you will be entering the AR Foundation ecosystem. And then once the session management is moved over, you remove the session manager of ARDK 2 and add the session manager of ARDK 3, which is the Unity one, so you can use their docs. Then you move over each and individual feature. And if we go to the next slide, I can show you that the actual features are very similar because that is just Lightship ARDK and it's still Lightship ARDK. This, for example, is the semantics feature. And in ARDK 2.x, you had the AR Semantics Segmentation Manager, and in ARDK 3.0, it's still the same name. So you add the AR Segmentation, Semantic Segmentation Manager, but some of the fields are renamed, some of the things are moved around a bit. But in general, you will feel familiar, I'm sure, with what you find in ARDK 3. For example, the keyframe frequency is now called target frame rate, but we provide you with docs, what was renamed, what was moved. The depth suppression channels, a suppression technique based on the semantics for occlusion, is now handled by a new component, which is the Lightship occlusion extension, but it's still the same system. So as I said, it will feel very familiar. And actually by reorganizing the bits and pieces and going more into the style of Unity AR Foundation, for people that haven't used ARDK before, it will also look familiar because they might know AR Foundation. So it's the best of both worlds. And then the persistent confidences that we had in ARDK 2.x are now even easier to access. You don't even have to set up anything on the manager anymore. So that's why we would say now you have direct access to that. And the interpolation, things that are a bit more tricky, we have samples for that. We have documentation on that if something changed there. And here we changed something for rendering. We provide you with a matrix that you can apply in your shaders. And for querying on the CPU, we still take care of that for you. So we're trying to give you guidance. We're trying to give you documentation on how to move over. But we hope that people that have worked with ARDK before feel comfortable and familiar with this stuff. And people that work with AR Foundation before, it's the same for them, that they know the patterns and they realize this looks familiar. And yeah, that's how we move forward with Peridot. And it was a joy to see how we reduced a lot of code, for example. So AR Foundation's ecosystem made it possible for us to get rid of a lot of self-written code because their management is just very, very advanced. And we actually migrated much faster than we would have expected before starting it. And I think in the end, we can talk more about that. But that was the migration example from my side.
Thank you so much, Max, for explaining that. I remember seeing Max in the London office when I visited, and he just got over a cold, but he was like tirelessly working at the office, so trying to make sure that launch was getting ready for like I think it was back in May, around right before AWE in Santa Clara. So just big kudos to Max and the team over there for working on this. I know this is going to simplify a lot of the work our devs do. So thank you. And just a reminder is that we have lots of resources for you to get started. Please check out lightship.dev if you haven't already. We have lots of technical documentation that's going to be updated pretty soon once our 3.0 is publicly released. You can access our Git for sample projects as well. And then, of course, please join our Discord. We have lots of our developer support engineers who are always there to help you out with your technical issues, as well as just be part of our community and stay up to date with our community events. I'm going to drop the links in the chat right now. But super excited to move forward for the next stage of this event to talk about ARDK 3.0, the learnings, challenges, and success from our expert panel. So we just met Max, who's our software engineer on the Lightship side. And then we also have Chris Marsh. So Chris is based in Castro Valley, California, and he's a staff software engineer at Niantic. And he works as a client engineer on Pokémon GO since 2018. And he has over 18 years of experience with a background in console games and at Discord, focusing mostly on performance. In his spare time, Chris enjoys playing with his family, as well as a variety of other games, sometimes at the same time, which is great. That's our mission of our company. And then we have Justyn Eddins, who is the founder of MR Augmented and is a Lightship Managed Partner and has successfully launched Pillow World app, which is powered by Lightship AR. And we wanted to bring someone from the outside that has experience using our tech stack. So I think his experience, especially his commercial experience, will be very valuable. So happy to introduce Justyn now so he can share more about MR Augmented, MR Augmented, as well as Pillow World.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to some. It's a pleasure to meet everybody. Yeah, so I'm Justyn. I'm one of the founders of MR Augmented. MR Augmented stands for Mixed Reality, Augmented Reality. And our bread and butter is really building out, IRL experiences, mixed reality experiences, launching custom software for brands. And so we launched it in 2018. In 2022, we became a managed partner of Niantic, and we actually launched the first AR NFT art exhibition in LA. And it was a hit, and we learned a lot from it. But one of the things we learned was it was really hard for a lot of our community members to scale their own AR experiences, right? They kept coming to us to say, hey, Justyn, can you build us this AR app? Or, hey, Justyn, we really want this custom AR experience. And, it was super expensive for them. And so we were like, hey, we want to create something that's, cost effective and actually kind of opens the gates to AR. And so Pillar World was kind of birthed from that. And so we ended up launching the Pillar World MVP in 2022. And in the same time, we still do Mr. Augmented stuff. And so we were really lucky enough to actually just build out the Lenovo Formula One AR experience. And Shaq just used it, which was really, really cool. And now our main focus going into 2024 is completely launching Pillar World and our creator studio. And what Pillar World really does, it allows essentially anyone, right, to upload 2D, 3D digital assets essentially anywhere in the Pillar World on one shared platform for them to then drive their community to go and collect and experience these really, really cool digital assets, ultimately bringing digital assets to life. We put together a commercial, so we'd love to show it to you. So next slide. This is the Pillar World commercial.
All right, let's be honest. There's something kinda odd about seeing your roommate stuck in the metaverse for the last week. Well, that's the beauty about augmented reality. You're able to create things in real life that inspire and motivate those to get out and try something new. Imagine exploring your city, interacting with digital assets in a brand new way, a way that doesn't separate us, but brings us together. Let's find ways to spread a little more light in a world that seems so dim. Let's inspire and motivate those who just need that extra little push to get out and connect. That's what the world needs right now. A way for us to create new memories, meet new people, laugh, smile, and create something magical. That's Pillar.
Yeah, and so that's something we put together, but our whole thing is actually getting people out their house, right, and actually showcasing and showing the world like the beauty of AR. Right now, it's a small introduction via kind of like handheld devices, right, like mobile devices, but the main push for us is going to be towards like glasses, like the Apple Vision Pro. And so, yeah, that's Pillar.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Justyn, for presenting and being part of Lightship during its early days, for sure. Super excited to begin the panel chat now with Max, Chris, and Justyn. Another reminder is that you will have opportunities to ask them questions later on. So make sure that if anything comes up related to their background or something that they say, please include that in the Zoom Q&A. But we're going to begin with our Q&A discussion questions, and we're going to start off with Justyn first. So, we took a long time. We paused our community engagement because we moved our product over to AR Foundation. But this does buy us a lot of benefits. Can you talk a little bit about AR Foundation interoperability for developers?
Sure. Yeah. I would say one of the biggest things interoperability buys developers is going to be, time, consistency, right? It's something that we're all used to, flexibility, and really the ability to deliver high quality AR experiences. One really cool feature of interoperability, right, is cross platform deployment, right? So if I'm building one AR app, right, I can deploy that across ARKit, AR Core, so iOS, Android, right, with one single AR app. I don't have to, constantly waste time on developing for multiple different devices, right? So you can deploy these things not only for just mobile devices, right? It's actually going to go towards like the Apple Vision Pro and other AR headsets, which we're really excited about as well.
Awesome, thank you. Definitely, I think cross-platform deployment is really important for our developers. And would be curious to hear like from Chris or Max, can you guys build on top of this, especially from being on our engineering side?
Yeah, sure. I can take it a bit further. I mean, Justyn already said the most important thing, the interoperability. We had it before with ARDK 2, where you could deploy to ARKit and AR Core with the same code base. But implementing a third platform for us would mean a lot of work, and everything's just temporal technology. So whatever comes next year or the years after, Unity has way more resources to abstract that away from us. From the underlying platform. So we hope that we can jump onto new platforms much faster and use all of the basic AR capabilities with their technology and their docs and just have the bigger community there help out. And then the premium features, we can really focus on bringing more to the table, like VPS, like shared AR, and focus on the things that we can do better than just replicating what others already have done. So we hope that people that see those premium features will then be able to not trash their existing thing and move over, but to just implement it in the existing product already that they have already, and that is successful already. Make it even more successful.
Yeah, Chris, do you have anything to add on for that?
Well, I'm mostly focused on Pokemon Go, and we're only shipping on Android and iOS, and those are already supported. So I wasn't really worried about future platform portability, but I guess that's good to hear.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for that. And then if anyone in the audience, if you have like your own thoughts, feel free to type them in the chat. Would love to hear kind of what your thoughts are, because our speakers are looking at the chat and can kind of bounce off those ideas. But definitely, I love what Max said, where you already have an AR Foundation project, just add ARDK on top of it. It's a lot easier for our developers. But let's move on to the next question. And Chris is going to start this next question. What have you learned from building with ARDK 2.x, and what are the benefits to moving on to AR Foundation, maybe more specific to your context of Pokemon Go?
Sure. So I guess I didn't specifically work on a lot of the 2.0 building part, but my learnings in general about the AR stuff has been to focus to go in the direction of like having game design drive which features you integrate, right, versus starting with an AR feature and trying to figure out what sort of game design would work with it. In general, that direction has gotten us a lot better success on things. In terms of upgrading to the ARDK 3 and moving to AR Foundation, I'm really excited about us getting to have more of the features work in editor, and I think the iteration time that we get from that is way better. I don't know how everybody else's projects are set up, but for us, doing builds to device is quite cumbersome. So the iteration time of working on AR features in the past has been pretty dismal, and I think that it maybe shows in the lack of how much those features have changed in our game over time. So like I'm excited about how much we'll be able to build on those in the future after this upgrade.
Great. And I love how Dylan said in the Zoom chat, the potential of extending AR Foundation is just way easier to scale from AR Core, AR Kit. Thank you for that comment, Dylan. Yeah, and then Max or Justyn, I know you kind of covered this a little bit in the last question, but if you have anything to add on here, would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to consistency, right? You know, a lot of the developers that we work with are used to working with AR Foundation, right? So if you can give them a tool that they're familiar with, right, it's only going to increase efficiency across the board. So yeah, I think with 3.0 there's a lot of synergy with developers that are used to AR Foundation.
Yeah, and I love the call out from Chris or the shout out to the developer tooling. It's been a big focus of my work during the last year to get especially playback in a much better space. That's the tool that was really helpful in 2.x. It came out in the very late cycle of 2.x, I think 2.4. And now in 3.0, we just made it our main tool for our internal development. And I think it just gives you so much flexibility in building and testing in the editor without having to deploy. And we thank you, Emmanuel. We have playback. As I said, we extended it a lot. We are using it internally for test automation and everything. So you get the same features. We can run playback on Android. We can run playback on iOS. We can run playback on macOS, which is the main, like if you iterate, you will use the editor, but you can test your playback sequences on device as well now. And I can also answer the mock testing in editor question by Emmanuel. I see you are very interested in the tools. There is a tool called XR Simulation in Unity AR Foundation. We have a proof of concept to build on top of it with our features. Some of the things are harder to extend because Unity may not have thought about people extending this specific tool, but it looks promising internally, but there's nothing to talk about right now, except for we are pretty compatible at the moment with the existing XR simulation. So you can use that within a ARDK project. And anything else, we're trying to get there, but it's hard to promise anything at the moment. This is all what I can say.
Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone chiming in on that question. And I love that everyone's kind of excited about it in the chat too. Means that we're kind of moving towards doing the right thing then. Next question, we'll like Max to start. What does your current ARDK 3.0 migration process look like? I know you gave us the general high-level overview, but maybe you can be more specific and talk about some challenges or success and learnings you've had with porting over Peridot.
Yeah, sure. And I'm also gonna go into the question of John about the performance quality differences in Peridot at the end of this question. So yeah, as I said, in Peridot, we try to always be in a state where the project is up and running. So if we would have removed ARDK 2.0 at the start, we would have been in a broken state. We saw the potential to have both ARDK 2 and 3 in the project at the same time. Obviously, when you deploy to device, there can't be two owners of an AR session. So what we did was we used the Unity editor tools heavily that we discussed right now, like XR simulation, playback, and that way we were able to move a lot of the things over in a state where we were doing things side by side, where we still had part of the code base in ARDK 2 and just commented some things out. And that way we were always in a state where something was, you could always press play, is what I want to say. And that really helped us out. And we could just put things in the backlog. Okay, this has to be moved. This has to be moved. But we could always test each individual thing that we moved over. And the developer tools were a big factor in that. And in terms of performance and quality-wise, we hope that that we were able to move over all the features, and it looks like we could to be on par with ARDK 2. That was always our first goal. In terms of performance, we don't see any worse performance without even spending time on optimizing anything further. But the amount of code we had to write in the end to migrate, it was more like a reduction. Like it runs the same without a lot of the code we had to custom write. So we can now spend more time on optimizing the performance actually. And I'm sure we will be able to make use of ARDK 3.0 much better once we spend more time after the migration looking into the individual features again.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Max. And yeah, curious to hear from Chris. I know Pokemon Go has been kind of a unique project to migrate over. Can you talk about some of those challenges and learnings?
Sure. So we basically took the same path as Peridot, where we had both 2 and 3 integrated into the build. Couldn't really run on device in that form. So we iterated an editor until we got the features working there, and then we were able to remove ARDK 2 and get device builds working again. And I haven't done extensive profiling yet, but it feels very similar performance-wise to 2, or maybe even a little better. So yeah, it's hopefully my path has been a little bit rougher than what future folks will be, because we were iterating on beta versions of it and finding bugs, and I was bothering Max to go fix his things, and I expect everybody else will have a little smoother path than that.
Great, amazing. And thanks for bugging Max to fix those bugs. And then Justyn, curious like about Pillow World. I know you just launched it in the App Store, but what are your plans for migration? And like, do you have any foreseen challenges or things that you're going to be looking out for?
Yeah, some of the things that they've called out are some of the things that we're recognizing as well, right? But I think we have a live app, right? And so we have like active users. So we're using like version 2.5.2 currently, but I think we're just thinking through like what's the proper way to actually migrate with 3.0. Like we've played around with some of the early features, which is really cool. So it's definitely along our roadmap. And once it's actually truly live is I think when we're going to truly migrate over to 3.0. So we're excited.
Amazing. Thank you. And then make sure you guys keep an eye out for our public launch, as well as all the technical documentation that our team is working on right now to help you with this process. And then the last curated question before we go into audience Q&A is going to be started off with Justyn, but I hope that everyone can actually answer this question in the chat as well. What are you most excited for related to the ARDK roadmap? And I know our roadmap's not that updated online, but like just generally like what you've heard and or features that you would hope will be added to our roadmap.
Sure. I think anytime I'm conceptualizing or building any type of AR app or experience, there's certain things, right, that take the application or the experience from being good to magical, right? And ARDK 3.0 just does a great job of that, right? Like specifically, if you think like meshing or semantic segmentation or occlusion, right? These are just really cool features that you can kind of deploy onto your apps and really give your users a really cool experience. And, I know they did a whole, talk at this about 3.0, like remote editing and multiplayer. And, so these are a lot of really awesome features that I think can be, integrated in an easily digestible way to onboard both for gamers and non-gamers, right? For AR. So I would say that's probably, the most exciting thing for us, right? Like hopefully more people start using this and there's more use cases out there. And I think it's really exciting what ARDK is doing.
Awesome, thank you. And then Chris, why don't you go next about what's your favorite or most like, thing that you're excited for ARDK?
Yeah, I'm actually still excited about some of the stuff I saw. I think it was Max actually directly working on the integration with more of the simulation stuff in Editor. I think that, yeah, getting those two different things merged together more will make iteration a lot faster.
Awesome, thank you. And then Max.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, as I said in one of the text questions as well, there's nothing we can say right now about the XR simulation integration, but we are definitely looking into it. I said a few things already. I'm most excited about, I have to say three things. It's less code to maintain, it's the interoperability, and it's the editor tools. The playback tool is really what I'm using every day, and it's a joy every day.
Amazing, I love that. And then we're going to open it up to audience Q&A, and we do have some already in the Q&A, so I'll kind of answer those while we let some of the audience members either raise their hand if they want to ask their question verbally or type them in the Zoom Q&A or chat. Remember, you can use the Zoom Q&A feature at the bottom to submit your questions. Please upload the questions you want prioritized. But yeah, I have a question from Jamie. I think Diego said something about the Vision Pro as well. And Jamie, at Niantic, we really try to listen to our developer community, and we know that a lot of people are curious about deployment, especially to the Vision Pro or other headsets like Quest 3, and we're constantly trying to listen to what you guys want and incorporate that into our toolkit. But yeah, would be open to Justyn of kind of answering what you're looking forward to as a third party, in general.
Yeah, Jamie, we played around. I'm not sure if you've heard of like polyspatial. Like we applied to there, and it's like a Unity program to like start testing for the Apple Vision Pro. But we built like like a small app in Swift and Reality Kit and just started testing that. But for us personally, right, as like a developer focused more so on like a large scale platform that we will hopefully get, you know, millions of users, the main goal is for sure to focus on like how do we actually deploy experiences for the headset, right? Like the mobile is just one small use case for us. And so we're trying to integrate features that kind of make sense, but ideally they will lead to kind of like a glasses type of experience. But I'm not sure if you've played around with Polyspatial, you should definitely apply and try to like play around and make an app and just see what it looks like. It's pretty fun.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And then I know we can't really share anything specific about our exploration plans yet, Max or Chris, but in general, how do you guys feel about Vision Pro?
I think that you'd have to have many more millions of people walking around outside with the Vision Pro before we'd start considering moving Pokemon Go to it.
That's a great perspective for sure. And then, yeah, let's go into some other audience Q&A questions. Let's see. We have more of a technical question from Emmanuel again. I see Max, you're kind of typing an answer, but why don't you read out the question and kind of just answer that live?
Yeah, let's do it. So Emmanuel is asking why the new AR PostScript is making their virtual object look unstable on the Android phone, and why they had to revert to a deprecated AR PostScript. Great question. This is the interoperability from our ARDK with AR Foundation, where it maybe looks like something we have documented and we have done, but it's actually a bug in AR Foundation. So we are just telling you that AR Foundation messed up and or Unity, and they have a fix for that. They are aware of it. I can at the moment not really say if they already have a version where they fixed it, but our documentations will reflect their fix once it gets in. So you will know, I think, once our documentation changes, or you can look at the Unity space.
Awesome, thank you. I'm so happy that you're on this call, Max. Perfect person to answer that question. And I think we have a question from Ian. If you want to expand more on your question, feel free to like type in the chat or unmute yourself, Ian, and any of our speakers, feel free to chime in on this. Is it possible to use multiple images and multiple spots so players can experience different content per image in the same session? Yeah, who wants to take that?
I think I would guess how the question is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either.
Because using multiple images, if that is referring to image markers, localization markers, then like image detection definitely works with multiple images in AR Kit, AR Core. For VPS, if you want to use image markers for a shared AR session, I'm not entirely sure. With normal VPS, you can definitely try to localize against two different spaces or wayspots or markers, but I'm not entirely sure here. Please follow up with this on Discord or on the forums, and then the right people will get back to you.
For sure. Thank you for attempting to answer that as well. I had kind of the same questions, what it was related to. Let's see. Ooh, we have, oh, he said it's about shared AR. Okay. So you kind of answered that with localization. Okay, and then we have a question related to developing an ARDK and running with serverless functions like Hugging Face or Replicate. Yeah, how would one, I guess, go about implementing that into ARDK? And it's totally fine if we don't have experience with that in this call.
I don't have context on this.
Yep.
Yeah, we have our engineers to work with, so I haven't thought about how to do a serverless thing.
Yeah, that's for sure. Why don't you, whoever asked that question, why don't you follow up in the Discord or support at lightship.dev. I know we do have 8th developers who have used like Replicate for their web AR experiences, but I know it's very different for ARDK, but I don't know if that would be helpful. I could help definitely direct you to that type of person as well. So just reach out to us in the chat or through Discord or email. I'm happy to support you. And then we have a question for Justyn regarding your Pillow World app. Can you talk more about how people are able to add their own AR items into the app?
Yeah, good question, Aaron. So ideally, sometime next year, we're going to actually open access to the Creator Studio specifically for 3D assets. And the reason, that's a really good question. When we launched our AR NFT art exhibition, we had some amazing artists submit art, and they were working in Blender and Maya and Cinema 4D, all these like 3D tools, right? And when you try to put some of these assets, right, into Unity, the textures don't port over, right? If they have too many vertices, they don't look that good, right, in AR. And so that's kind of really what our Creator Studio is going to be able to do. So whether it's a USDC or a GLTF or OBJ or an FBX, you should be able to upload your asset via our Creator Studio, and a lot of those textures should port over. And it should be a really clean experience. And so that's kind of like our secret sauce bread, like bread and butter. But good question. You can sign up on our Creator Studio, sign up for early access. Yeah, you should be able to do that soon.
Okay, excellent. Appreciate the response.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron, for that question, Justyn, for answering. Yeah, and it seems like we don't have any other questions in Q&A. Would love if anyone just wants to unmute themselves and ask a question to our speakers. These are people who have built extensively with ARDK, especially 3.0, or kind of just share like what you're going to be doing right when we release publicly. Like do you have any plans on projects already that you're building or have to migrate over? Would love to hear that. And while you guys are kind of thinking of those questions, I know that some people have asked about the Niantic classes, and we have a response from Greg, our Director of Communications, who says, we are working our own glasses, but we have partnered with like Qualcomm and Snapdragon Spaces on mixed reality headsets. We don't have anything to share specifically right now, but we are exploring that. And hopefully when we have a better time frame, we can update everyone. So just remember, stay updated on our Lightship.dev or in our Discord for all of the information. And then we have Robert, who has his hand raised. So would love for you to unmute yourself, Robert, and go ahead and ask your question or comment.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm new to Niantic and I joined this call late. So let me just briefly state that I am a very frustrated Wikitude licensee that built a really cool app called the Force for Health Go. And we built that app to help promote health, healthy behaviors and learning with moving outside. Wikitude has informed us that they will no longer support the AR work we've done, and we have 150,000 sites that we've already mapped and have content for. I'm looking for the next platform in which to build my Force for Health Go solution. And I'm seeking someone from the company to reach out and make a sale and show me how easy it would be. I'm a physician, so I'm not that smart. And B, give me a smart person that I can contract to help me build it out quickly and transition over so I don't lose out on this next school year. All right, that's my ask. So am I at the right place for an app for outdoor interactive Pokemon Go-like interactions that could be a beating heart as opposed to a Pikachu? That could be a how to build a healthy salad by finding these 10 different ingredients and then getting a coupon at my local food co-op. And,
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
I'm gonna let her. Yep. Go ahead. You can continue.
No, I'm looking for those someone passionate about health and physical activity and psychologically getting people to work together and not isolate in the game, but as a family get out and exercise, and earn points in something called the Reality Health Games, which we're building.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I would love if someone from our panel can talk about the capabilities behind ARDK that would be able to empower the actual game mechanics that Robert is talking about. And then Robert, would love for you to join our Discord. A lot of people on this call right now are very talented developers who can assist you at that. If they are interested in joining their projects, definitely connect on Discord. I'll put the link in the chat so that you can stay updated. And we also have our developer relations team who is always looking out for really interesting use cases and apps to support either with resourcing or technical assistance. So yeah, want to hear from some of our panel about just the ARDK capabilities for some of the mechanics that Robert is talking about.
Right. Thank you.
Well, this is literally the library that Pokemon Go uses. So if you're looking to make a Pokemon Go-like experience, I imagine it would be supported. The things that you described sound very doable. But yeah, I don't know who, I don't know the process for how we get you connected with someone to help you with it, but that's my initial take.
You're still muted, Robert.
Okay, so I think you're muted, Robert, but I just put our Discord in the chat, and then I have your email. We will definitely follow up. And I think that we have a few more. Well, let's take one more question, and then I see Diego has a question related to the ARDK challenge, which I definitely want to save time for. So let's talk about. Oh, I think that might have been related to the last question, but we can follow up. So Ian, actually, I want to ask Max about the question that he typed, because I think that's a question that a lot of people are curious about. We know that hand tracking was an experimental feature in 2.x. Max, can you tell us a little bit about the hand tracking in the future?
I am typing an answer to Robert as well about maps. Lightship Maps is a part of the Lightship ecosystem as well, which we also use for Pokemon Go alongside ARDK to also make possible what you just said. Thank you, Chanel, for the next question. Yeah, hand tracking. So what we had in 2.x was an experimental feature. It was palm detection. So that was a bounding box of pixels where we thought, or our neural network thought, that a hand was. So you would get, I think, a centroid point and some like rough location. What we have in 8th wall is much more advanced. It's a hand mesh. So it's a very, very information-rich representation of where your hand actually is and how you hold it and how your fingers are moving. So that's way better. We have it in 8th wall, and we are trying to move it over as soon as possible into ARDK 3. The last year, we have just made a tremendous effort in integrating with Unity AR Foundation and haven't really shipped new features. But as soon as ARDK 3 is out of the door, we can focus on getting all that stuff in as well. And we're really looking forward to get the hand mesh, which is the pinnacle of hand tracking. It's what I would say, into ARDK 3.
Amazing, thank you. And yeah, now I'm gonna kind of move forward from these questions and talk about our upcoming events. So, but if you have any other questions related to things our speakers have talked about, feel free to put them in the chat or reach out on Discord. But super excited to kind of talk about our upcoming events. And let me just share my screen really quickly. Let's see, it's this one. And I guess I'm just kind of play this video first, just to set the tone for our upcoming event.
We're dancing in the bright light.
Great. So I hope that you guys are feeling inspired by that video. I mentioned earlier that to celebrate the public release of ARDK 3.0, we are starting a developer challenge. And we're dancing in the bright. Say that again. Just kind of want to give you guys a reminder that it's starting next Tuesday, October 31st, and it will run until December 4th. That's when you have to submit your projects. And we have a prize pool of over $8,500. And we have a whole program of supporting events to make sure that you are set up for success. You can take out your phone right now and RSVP for all of the events that you see on this calendar. Next week, we're going to have an info session with Dan Morris, the developer relations director. And then we're also going to have an ideation session later that week on November 2nd. It's going to be led by Mike Stein, our UX engineer at Niantic, and he's going to take you through the process of how you can start designing your projects for real world AR. And when I talk about real world AR, we're specifically looking for the categories of immersive learning that can be related to arts, culture, education, or lifestyle and entertainment. That can be retail, tourism, or it can be like film and television, and of course, games, because we're at Niantic. And then we're also going to have lots of project consultations. You can sign up for a one-on-one meeting with Niantic staff just to make sure that your idea is one, feasible with ARDK, and also help you develop an MVP that you can complete by the challenge deadline. And then Braxton, our developer adoption manager, will be leading an ARDK 3.0 beginner workshop on November 7th. So if you've never built with ARDK, that's definitely the time, that session that you want to attend. We'll also have a recording if you can't attend that. And then November 14th, we know that user experiences can be really different for different types of apps. So we're actually going to bring in our UX team, who has a variety of experience working on our game side, our A12 marketing branded side, as well as some of our other apps, to talk about how they create user-centric experiences across different industry verticals. And then we're going to have a week, or actually 2 weeks, of one-on-one developer support. You can sign up for some help with our developer support team, like with Jesus or Herberto, who's on the call today, and you see them all the time on Discord. And then we'll have a celebration showcase for you to show off all the hard work that you've done, as well as invite our judges to watch your presentations. So make sure that you attend all of these events. And please take out your phones and also scan this QR code to do a really quick survey. Your feedback is super helpful, especially in these early stages of us releasing 3.0, for us to continuously improve so that we can bring you better services. But just really want to thank Max, Chris, and Justyn, as well as Jesus, Anu, Greg, and Roberto on the call, who have supported this event. And just thank you for attending, and make sure to catch the recording if you miss any of this, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.